afternoon, Melbourne, PA. Today is June 1st, 2017. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Becca, and we have some breaking news to share with you about the importance of investing at a young age.
It's pretty easy to think that buying your morning coffee won't break your bank, but a recent study says differently. A tall iced caramel macchiato is Starbucks' most popular drink, according to Girltrist.com, and it costs $3.75, excluding tax. If you bought one every weekday, it would cost you $18.75 a week and $975 a year. Not so cheap anymore, right?
Now let's turn our perspective alternatively. Take that $3.75 and put it into an account that has 6% rate of return. After 25 years, you'll have $78,493 instead of having $34,218.75 spent on coffee. Investment is important for future pleasures, not current short-term treats.
Reality check, people. College tuition and fees cost on average $33,480 for private education, $9,650 for in-state public college students, and $24,930 for out-of-state public college students annually. By the time you graduate 4 years later, you'll have anywhere from $38,600 to $133,920 to pay. Now, if you took that money you invested instead of spending on coffee, you would already have paid $78,493 of your debt. That would make your life a lot easier.
We asked a few people about their future thoughts about paying for college.
Have you started thinking about college yet?
Yes. Yeah, I started thinking about it last year. I have started thinking about college. Yes, I have started thinking about college. I did a whole summer tour with my mom last year. We visited about 10 schools.
Yes, I have been. I am going to the University of Pittsburgh with an undeclared major.
Yes.
How do you personally plan on paying for college?
I plan on taking out loans. Yes, I do. I plan on paying for college. I don't really know. I was hoping like parents, maybe grandparents would help out. Some money saved away, I guess. Not really sure about that yet. Well, I do not personally plan on paying for college since I myself have no money, but I'm sure my parents have a plan.
Good question. I guess through local scholarships and hopefully financial aid if I get any.
Scholarships, student loans, my parents.
Have you ever thought of personal investment as a possibility?
Yes.
College?
No, I haven't.
I have not thought of personal investment as a possibility. No, I have not thought of that as a possibility.
I did not know that was a possibility.
No.
Did you know that one of the most efficient ways of paying for college is through a combination of high and low risk investment, and you can get out of college almost debt-free?
Oh, cool.
And if you knew this, would you have started earlier?
Yes, of course. Yes, definitely. Definitely would have started investing earlier if I knew I could get out of college without having to pay. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Almost debt-free.
Almost debt-free. Yes, I would have.
Absolutely.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, thank you for your time.
As you can see, many young people see financial aid, merit money, and student loans as their only options for paying for college. However, if it was more commonly known, they would have started investing early to help ease the financial burden college creates.
Now, most people go to college to make money. It's just the reality of the situation. However, this debt is killing many people's potential to take risk in the investment markets. Many individuals have the potential and intellect to become millionaires through investment.
Let's take a closer look at Tom Sykes. He used his bar mitzvah cash for his first investments. He started with penny stocks, stocks where shares cost less than $1, and he was worth $1.5 million by the age of 21.
Julie and Dave Broad looked towards real estate. They started with $16,000 and in 7 years they became millionaires. They believed that the stock markets limited the potential money that one could make. In the stock market, you can only invest $16,000, but in the real estate market, you can buy property worth $160,000. If the stock value increased 5%, you could make $800. If the property value increased 5%, you could make $8,000 from the initial $16,000 investment. There are different ways to invest money. People can leave money in the bank, but this often does not keep up with the rate of inflation. Other options are stocks, bonds, real estate, and precious materials. Stocks are a share of a company. Investors will receive a dividend of the company's profit. As the company grows in value, so does the value of the stock, which allows investors the opportunity to sell the stock higher than they bought it, and a turn in profit. Bonds are like loans. Individuals can buy a bond from a company or government, and when the bond matures, they can take it back to the lender, and they will receive the amount of money they paid and more.
Starting early is extremely important for investors. The longer your money stays invested, the safer your money will be. However, we turn it over to Vanguard employee Jeremy Linsloff to talk to us about different tips that are important for the average investor to know.
My name is Jeremy Lisnoff. So my last school that I attended was graduate school. I got my MBA from Columbia University. So I work for a company called Vanguard, and it's an investment management firm, and I lead a team of people who are financial advisors, and they work with nonprofits. So like endowments, foundations, nonprofits like that help them invest. Well, for a lot of people, they have goals, and a lot of those goals require money. And those goals might be really short term, or they might be long term. And for people to be able to do what they want, generally you might have some sort of goal that has an objective, and you need to save money for it. And that might be something over the short term, or it might be something really far away. For something like a stock, so if you have money that's invested in a company, a pro is that, over the long term, stocks typically will be really high performing compared to something like a bond or just investing your money and having it in cash. So typically if you have a longer term investment horizon, it's really good to have money in stocks. The con for that is that they're typically riskier than other types of investments. So you might have a higher potential to make more money, but you have a higher potential to lose more money too. And that typically goes with lots of types of investments. So if an investment might not make a lot of money over the long term, it might also not be that risky either. So you constantly have a trade-off between how much you're willing to risk versus how much you want to return. So over time, typically investments in stocks are investments that'll outperform things like bonds. And typically there are types of investments that fall in between stocks and bonds too. And that would be something like real estate. So if you were to invest in real estate over time, typically what you'd see is that it would return somewhere in between what an equity would and what a bond would. So I'd say if you have a long-term time horizon, it's not necessarily having one versus the other. It's to have a really diversified portfolio, because you never know in any one given year or over the course of a couple years what's going to do really well and what might not do so well. So if you have a longer term investment horizon, it's really good to have a diversified portfolio of lots of different types of investments. So diversification is really important. So like what I just said, in any given year you might have things in your portfolio that might do really well, things that might do really poorly. But over time, if you have a really good diversified portfolio, usually it works out okay if you have a long-term time horizon. And I'd say if you were to want a recommendation on how much you should have in equities versus bonds versus real estate versus something else, a lot of time that's a matter of a couple things. One could be your time horizon. So let's say I'm saving for your cousin's college tuition. my time horizon is a certain time frame, and that's shorter than my time horizon for me actually retiring, which is going to be a really long time from now. So how you might want to have your allocation to stocks versus bonds, it really depends on what that time horizon is. So the first thing I'd say is a couple things. So one really important thing is to know what your goal is for the money. So if you're saving for something, presumably you have a specific idea what it might be for. So you might be saving for a car, you might be saving for college, you might be saving for an apartment someday. It's really just a good idea to have a sense for what you're actually saving for, because if you don't know what your objective is, it's really tough to invest your money. And it's also good to know your time horizon too. So if you have a certain objective and you have a time horizon, that can really help you with how you might want to invest your money. But those are really the things when you're really starting out as an investor that they're important to know. So having a really good sense for your goals and your constraints. So over the long term, I think I mentioned this earlier, typically if you have a really long-term time horizon, investments in company stocks would typically outperform things like investing in real estate or investing in bonds or investing in cash. And that's just sort of historically what the trend has been for a very long time. But you have to have a really long-term time horizon, because in any one year, it's tough to say what would do better than the other. So the answer to both is they're both really important things to do. So how important is it to start early on? It's super important. If you can save and invest, you should. So there's something that is basically called compounding. So when you invest, let's say you were to invest today and you were to earn 10% on your money today on something, and you have $100. Well, a year from now, you have $110. If you were to earn 10% on $110, you'd have $121 a year later. So your money will continue to compound over time. So if you can start early, when you're taking advantage of compounding, it really helps when you're starting to save for a goal. And I'd say even if you haven't started early and you can start saving, always start when you can. So even if you might feel like you're behind in saving, so some people feel that way, like when they're saving for retirement, for example, if they haven't started early enough. Some people decide, well, maybe they'll just put it off because they haven't done it. But if you never do it, then you won't have any money to actually reach an objective that you might have later on. So you should always start saving and investing when you can. I'd say yes. It takes a lot of time and patience, though. So I wouldn't tell anyone that they can become a millionaire and it's a really easy thing to do. So I wouldn't, tell someone to put all their money in one stock and pray that it turns into $1 million someday. But if you start young, if you are really disciplined about saving money over time, I've met a lot of people that have become millionaires that you might not expect. That they were just really good at continuing to set money aside and had a really disciplined approach. And
Wow, thanks, Jeremy. To finish it off, we have one more example. Frugal trader used investment to get out of debt. He started with a mutual fund, then moved to real estate. He took out a loan for 2 apartments, one he lived in and one they rented out, and they invested in another rental property a few years later. They had to give this up because they were not the best at being landlords. He ended up owning 20 dividend growth stocks, like Johnson & Johnson and Coca-Cola. His portfolio consists of 95% stocks and 5% bonds, which is very high risk. However, he believes in the long-term growth market. During the financial crash in 2008, he said, quote, "I did buy a little bit, but I regret not backing up the truck. I regret not buying more."
Unfortunately, our project is coming to an end, but let's end it with a recap. So, in order to make money through investment, hopefully to become a millionaire, one must start investing as early as they can. And once you choose to invest your money, do not touch the money. Leave it there so it can grow into more money. Make sure that you're investing in diversified options. This is a great way to protect your assets. And as your mom always says, don't leave all your eggs in one basket. Also, make sure to choose the appropriate amount of risk for your own position. Some people have a little leeway and they can take a risk, but other people need to play it safe.
Thank you for tuning in today. Have a great day.